I'm Nathalie Mezza-García and welcome to the Floating Cities Show. Here, you'll learn about the latest floating projects, developments, houses, buildings, neighborhoods, floating city plans, and the regulations, zones, and jurisdictions that enable them all across the world. You'll hear directly from the makers, the architects, designers, developers, engineers, and even the regulators that make floating projects possible. Come join me while together with Sofia, we help you navigate the complexity of these new waters. Hello everyone, I'm here with Agnieszka Białek, and we are gonna talk today about a project that just got me fascinated the first time I saw it. And still, now that I've seen it a few more times, it's a beautiful, clean, playful, elegant design. It's just really beautiful. How are you, Anieska?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you for a beautiful introduction. I'm really glad to take part in this conversation. So hello, everyone.
Cool. So right before we began, Anieska and I were talking about how I am in a co-working space right now. It's the co-working where I live. Well, I don't live in the co-working, although I pretty much sometimes do, but it's a co-working space in the building where I live. And these types of shared office spaces that are close to you or that have a different style from working in a traditional cubicle office or working strictly from your home office are becoming more and more common recently, Anieska, right? As you know, because of your project. Anieska,
okay.
Tell us a high-level view of your project.
Enclaves was my student project that I did in 2020. The idea of the project developed in the pandemic era while observing the forming of the new reality. I was born and raised in Kraków, near the Vistula River that crosses the whole city.
Nice.
So the structures that I designed not only renewed this landscape that I already knew so well, but also take into account social distancing and the need for semi-open spaces for work.
What was of the co-working space that is growing that attracted your attention and got you to say, you know what, I want to design a co-working? And I want to design it and make it floating.
Yeah. Yes. So I started, it was during the pandemic, like the highest moment of pandemic, let's say. And I started just with observing the new reality, the forming of new reality, and what are our needs at the moment.
Yeah.
So I tried to answer the new needs of the new world. And in the pandemic, we could observe fatigue with home space in which we are present all the time. And working in the company of other household members, it's not like the most comfortable situation ever,
Yeah.
Especially if we have to focus on performing specific tasks, right? So the project called Enclaves provide greater comfort and protection of personal space while working. It also pays attention to distance and the presence of empty spaces, which will be the ones desired in the post-COVID reality.
That is true. So I guess that's why your design is so clean and why, if I remember correctly, the furniture is embedded, is part of the structure itself, right?
Yes. I imagine the interiors of the enclaves as integrated form. It has to be well-blended structures inside of each cell. And organic shapes are wrapping the inside of the enclaves, allow users to achieve any individual posture that they want to get during work. And in the comfort of your enclave, you can sit, lay, or do something in between while working. So it's just like very custom design, and it's just like the sense of new luxury. That design is like answers very individual needs. It's very customable. You can just like make anything you want during work, and there's like low seat, regular seat, like chaiselong type of a shape, and structures merge seamlessly into each other, making the interiors unique. But like you said, it's a very clean design. It's like a contrast with the chaos that are surrounding us more or less right now.
Yeah.
It's just like the contrast with the world right now, right?
Yes, and especially while you were designing, because maybe now things are kind of open in most places, but when so when are we recording this? This is Christmas, by the way. We are close to Christmas. I know that our listeners and viewers might not probably will not listen to this in Christmas because it's not going to be released in Christmas, and I hope you're not just listening to a podcast on Christmas, or watching a video. You're with your family and eating or friends. But next year, the situation might be a bit different, right? Things will be fully open. But when you were designing this, like you said, our worlds was 4 walls. We're 4 worlds, were walls. So your design doesn't have walls in the rigid sense.
Yes.
It's
very different. It's just like a bubble on the surface of the water floating, and it's just like very individual, and it just like completely different experience than working in just like closed in 4 walls. I just wanted to create just that different experience that you can have surrounded by nature, but inside of this clean cell. But you can still have that connection to nature. You can just like have a walk in the park next to the enclaves, and just like have a break in the park. It's just like different experience design, like from the start to the end.
Beautiful. So also the process of getting there is also very different. Here you walk, but there you have to kayak or swim. Ideally kayak, so you don't wet the facilities.
Yeah, I wanted to really limit the access for passersby. That it's like more intimate. It's just like semi-personal space. That you can just like book online, and you just like have to use kayak to get there because it's in the middle of the river, but it's very calm river. Like, no, it's not danger in there. So it's just like different experience, like I said, from the start, from getting there, working there, or just simply relaxing there, and then till the end. And it's also meant to be available for like all type of workers and person, that either if you're like active more in the daytime or nighttime, it's just like open to booking for like hourly with hourly like schedule, let's say.
I love that, really. Yeah, let's say it's 7 p.m. and you have to work, you're working on a deadline and you want to change scenes, so you book it and you go.
Yeah.
That I love that. I want to ask you about what you said at the beginning about how negative space is going to become more common in architecture and design after COVID. So for those who are listening or watching and don't know what negative design is, can you explain what it is and why will it be more common in the post-COVID world?
Yes. I think that people in the pandemic realized that we need negative space, and it's like a space that it's not like the, let's say there's like nothing in there, but it creates you comfort, it creates you that space that you can have for yourself. It just like really influence, in my opinion at least, the creative thinking and the creative process. It just like helps you to have more space, and just like it gives you more freedom, I think, in your mind. It just helps you get creative and more productive. And there's like more, I think like the post-COVID design will be focused more on having that space and having that distance, because when you have to practice social distancing, it's very important. It's crucial to have that spaces around you, and it also like creates comfort. Yes, I think like people are noticing it right now more than ever.
Yeah. Yes, totally. If you look at previous houses that were built in Europe, for example, mid-century, around well, last mid-century, they're very compartmentalized, and then more and more open concept design became more common. But now what your design is showing, and I know this is a direction that architecture is taking, we are not even talking about open concept design, but about what you have called negative space, which is having empty spaces, big views.
Yes.
You're right.
Yes. It's also like the concept of microspace. And I think it will be a strong trend in the future. Microspace, micro living, micro working.
Yes.
Just like, and have this possibility to cut off the professional space of your life apart from anything else, to create that work-life balance. Because if you work constantly from home with other household members, it's just like common to get tired of this, to be less productive and creative, let's say. I think the future will be more flexible in just like on every level of our existence.
Yeah, I think so too. Talking about eco, was something that you also considered in your design? How?
Yes.
Remind me, please.
Okay. So the creative process was guided by ecological values, which are important to me, like in every aspect of my life. And I didn't want to degrade the natural ecosystem that it's already present in there, because I believe in coexistence of architecture and nature, or environment in general, right? So since the pots are floating on the river, it reduces the utility requirements to almost zero, and there is no soil degradation. So like this architecture is temporal, meaning that it doesn't have to stay there forever, and it's also mobile architecture that like leaves you a lot of possibilities to arrange it like any way you want.
Okay, so each bubble floats independently, and you can, if you want to do a center platform for them, you can arrange the bubbles around it, or you can leave each bubble with distance from the other bubble, so each person has to take their kayak to the bubble where they're going to work, and they don't have any chance to go to other bubbles.
Yes, and like the bubbles are anchored to the river's bed, not the shore. Like the inspiration for that was water lilies and like the root system of these plants.
Okay.
So root is anchored to the bed river. And
Yeah,
it can
yeah.
float independently, like you said. But there would be also a possibility to attach it to each other and then form like a structures floating together on the surface of the river. So you can actually walk between the pots, and it creates this possibility, right? It's custom in like every aspect because you can just like adjust it to you, not you don't have to adjust yourself to it. It's also, I think, the future somehow of the design, that it's gonna be adjusted to you, not you adjusted to this design.
Yeah, I completely agree. And that is a trend that we've been seeing in everything. Everything is becoming more individualized. Again, going back to trends that happened in the middle of the century. See, soup cans, for example, in the US, the famous Campbell's soup was family size. Now it's individual size. Also, the phone, like the telephone, villages used to have one phone, and then houses. And then if you needed to use the telephone, you go to the village and then you use the common phone of the village. Then each house had a phone. Then each person had a phone. Then each person had a phone that was actually a platform that they could customize to whatever their likes and needs and preferences were. So I think you've spotted it very well. The individualization of things that have been designed is something that has happened. And maybe, why do you think it hasn't reached its full potential in architecture yet?
I don't know. It always takes time to adjust to new trends. I think it will change rapidly in the like near future to come. Okay. And I still don't have the answer to how. I still didn't answer the question how the architecture will be defined after the COVID and changes in the long run, right? So we know for sure that we are facing a new reality and some like new processes or new just like
considerations,
yes, are just like appearing and become new form, like new reality. We all already think that remote work is like normal. Like 1 year ago it wasn't normal. So I think like employees will be able to choose the time and form of work, but it's only just the work field, right? And I think our like every aspect of our life will be like that, just adjusted, and everything like will be flexible and just flow. You know,
flow.
Yes. I hope like architecture will be like that. There will be for sure new trends. I hope there will be more floating architecture, more micro architecture, more personalized architecture, more sustainable architecture, that it will be all like personalized and just like adapt to new times.
No, I think you're right. Like I'm looking at these paintings here that I have in the back and they're static. But now with things like NFTs, non-fungible tokens, you can have a screen there that is projecting your moving art. So maybe the reason why the individualization of things designed hasn't caught up that much in architecture yet is because of the scale that we did of architecture. No, it's not like, oh, these tiny glasses that you can personalize, and making them is relatively cheap or cheap. It's a house, at least it's a building, it's big, it's thought as something that is meant to last, right? And it also involves a process. It involves many actors. To make a house is not the same than to make glasses. Maybe that's why scale.
Yes, I think you're right, and I think it takes more time to actually shift a little bit that perspective that you have to have home forever, because it's just not true, right? You can just like move from one place to another. It just, there's have to be like that shift of perspective in human beings first. That's why it's difficult and takes time, because people are used to certain things. They feel safe, some people at least, for example, feel safe only when they have forever home and it's built from bricks, because they feel safe in it, right? But it doesn't have to look like this.
No, not at all.
You can have like floating pod, and you can just like change pod every year to like different location, right?
Exactly. No.
It really depends.
Absolutely. No. And I think that is happening every time. Digital nomads are becoming more common. In fact, in the last 3 years, this place where I live is the place where I and my husband, who is in one walking somewhere. Sometimes you see like a red someone walking. It is the place where we live the longest in the last year. I think so. It's just becoming more common to know that, and the whole idea of you marry, you get a mortgage. That's what you have to do. No, you have to get a house and you have to get a mortgage, or that's what you had to do. Not anymore. No.
I agree. I totally agree. Me personally, I would like to avoid mortgage as much as I can.
Even the word.
And you said about digital nomads, and I think everything is connected, because more and more people have digital jobs. The digital life will become more and more important, either you want it or not. And I can like answer the question, is it a good thing or bad thing? Because it can be good or it can be bad at the same time, right?
Exactly.
But it's a fact that it becomes more and more important, and it, like, our digital life takes more and more space in our actual life, right? So it all will be connected with architecture and spaces and design, because it has to be adapted to that.
I completely agree with you. Okay, so that is why the bubbles, each of the bubbles in your design is small. And if you think about it, going back to the negative design, thinking of space as something important is something that some cultures like Japan, ancient Japan, for example, were already aware of. And it has permeated their interior design and their interior architecture. Maybe it's now starting to catch in the West due to external constraints that nobody wanted, like COVID, for example. Maybe we were shaped to adapt.
Yes, maybe like a shake is something that has to be happened, like, I don't know. Yes, we can of course take inspiration from ancient cultures and different culture from West or even from Europe. I think it's important to get inspiration from like many places and many times, because like you can have different perspective, and you can just like reflect on your own culture when you see more and more of different cultures. Right?
Yes. And where do you take your inspiration from?
Mainly I take my inspiration from the nature, because nature is all around us.
Yes.
And I always feel inspired by the structure in nature.
Yes.
The colors even, and the processes, right? Because everything is already there, and you can just take it to different dimension, even high tech. Like every aspect can be inspired by nature, I would say. So yeah, that's my main inspiration, also for visual and for functional design, right?
Yeah, again, I'm on board with what you are saying, and I somehow I also got to architecture, or to this. I also got to the particular field of floating through biomimicry in a different realm in governance, but somehow the path took me here, or the paths took me here. And yeah, nature is everywhere, and it has billions of years of expertise. So why not copying its forms, or mimicking, or getting inspiration from them?
Yeah, and surprisingly, it has a lot to do with mathematics, for sure. You have golden ratio in nature, right?
Yes.
It's like it's everything in there already.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. So the shapes. Oh, yeah. Maybe I'm wrong, but you know how domes are very resistant and strong, and your bubbles are also shaped like this. Were you also thinking about the strength of the structure, or it just happened?
This project was very conceptual, and I just wanted to start this conversation about like this topic that we already talked about. So I just thought it's just a conceptual project that I would love to continue in the future, but it needs appropriate research, technical research first. But when I thought about the construction and materials, I assumed the use of 3D printing technology in the architectural scale, right? Because it's also sustainable, because it just takes a few days to construct something like this, to print something like this. And you can use sustainable materials, biodegradable materials that can be just composted after it's not in use anymore, or just like reused in different purposes.
Yeah, I like more reusing, because I would not want to compost your balls. They're beautiful. Really. They at first I thought of ice cubes, and I do have a good association with ice cubes. Not even a neutral, but a good one. But bubbles, they're even better. Also mathematically perfect. Some people even study the shape of the universe, or the origins of the universe, by studying bubbles. Don't ask me how, but they are important. I think it has to do with the way bubbles cluster together, or maybe that, something.
Yes. I just like took that inspiration like exactly from the water, and just like take it back to the water itself. Like again, it's just I took the bubbles and put them, but in a different scale, right?
Yay. Lovely, really lovely. I can imagine that being there would be very, 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 very nice. Yeah. It's like when, like when you sleep under a dome, and you can see on top of you, it's nice. So you have to put a little, how do you call that, on top, window, clear glass, that you can see. So
you can
where would you like to take this project? to in the future too?
I would like to continue that, but I am not sure. Probably it would evolve into something similar, but not exactly the same, because as long as you work on something, it continually evolves further and further, right?
Yes.
So I would love to continue that. I would love to continue working on floating architecture, because I think it will be strong trend also in the future because of the climate changes, right?
Yes.
So we should like work with water, not against it, because it will be more and more present in our lives.
Yeah.
Because of all the flooding, the water levels going up and up in the world. Maybe it's not just like in 10 or 20 years, but it's definitely there in the years ahead of us. So
for sure.
Yes, I would love to do more research on that and continue this work and continue to like research in the architectural field.
Awesome.
Yes.
Cool. Well, I can't wait to work there.
Yeah, I would love to do that. And also I frequently walk there still because it's like very close to me. And I imagine how it would be if it really was a reality, right? It's just like your dreams and reality.
You should send it to the municipality. Have you thought about it or done it?
Yes, I talked to different people from the municipality, but in Poland, it's very, how do you say, conservative.
Okay, yeah.
And it's also this contrast between very contemporary design contrasted with this very traditional design from the past. That this is like on the visualizations, you can see like the symbol of the city that is like the one of finest museum in the whole country. So like there's like this project made a lot of controversials in the media.
Really?
Yeah, it became very popular, but very controversial because of the water. Because it's not very common in Poland to design something on the water, like the structure that are there. And yeah, it was also contrasted with these historical buildings.
Okay. Well, sometimes controversy is not good,
Yeah.
but in this case, in particular, if you are becoming controversial in a Poland news because of this particular project, it means you're doing it well. Really. So congratulations for that.
I hope so. I really would like to bring a new value in my surroundings, in my environment, and just like use space that it's not used in more sustainable way.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Congratulations for groundbreaking or water breaking. Yeah.
Yes.
Really.
That's great.
Ooh.
Thank you.
No, thank you, Anieska. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I'm sure that our listeners and viewers enjoyed it a lot. And if you allow me, I'm going to put here your contact details for people who want to get in touch with you. Yeah?
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure has been mine. And for those listening or watching, don't forget to subscribe. So thanks, Anieska.
Thank you.